approve the recording. And then, yeah, we'll start standing. When you get down to the floor, Leslie, you'll change your angle, and Stephen, you as well. At the moment, it's fine to have it upright. Alrighty, so standing anywhere that you have a firm floor below you. So maybe not if your mat is very squishy. Those of you that have squishy mats know what that is. So magic circles going between your calves, and you're going to bring your feet as close as the circle will allow. And you can shift from foot to foot. Place the feet down firmly when you're able to. Find the inner edges and outer borders of your feet. And just keep both borders. Typically, we roll into the outer edge with the circle in this position. So you really have to work on keeping the inner border. Bend your knees, keeping both borders of the feet working. And then squeeze the circle as you straighten your legs. Soften the squeeze on the circle, and you'll notice that the circle, if it's not completely level, it starts to move around a little bit. So don't just straighten your knees, actually squeeze from your ankles up to your inner thighs, and that's how you're squaring off the circle, lifting it almost. And then after this one, walk your feet together a little bit closer if you're able, and try and get into your Pilates stance in this position. Stretch out the front of your hips, right where your front pockets on your jeans would be. Morning, Mary. We're recording the class in case you see a message there. Squeezing the circle from the inner and outer borders of your feet. See if you can rise up on your toes, and as you rise up, you have to squeeze the circle a little bit more. And then you can lower the heels and relax for a moment. Bend the knees. Squeeze from your ankles up the inner thighs. As you rise up on the toes, you squeeze the circle a little bit more. Then you lower the heels, bend the knees to relax. Again, Karen, your camera isn't on. And do that a couple more times while I get myself sorted here. Just take attendance. Good, and then you can set the circle aside, bring your feet together, find your Pilates stance. Now it shouldn't be any trouble to get your feet or your inner thighs to touch. Put your hands on your hips and thumbs at your lower back, and try and lengthen that lower back space. So some of you still struggle with figuring that out or feeling it, but if you just use your thumbs and kind of push your sacrum down towards the floor, keep your inner thighs where they are, stretching out the front of your hips, squeezing those legs, rise up onto your toes, and lower the heels. Just a couple of those. Keep squeezing the legs. So just like with the magic circle, you squeeze the legs a little bit more as you go up on your toes. Very nice. Good. And then rise up on your toes, squeeze the legs a little bit more. As you lower the heels, leave your head on the ceiling. Cross one arm on top of the other, like I dreamed with Jeannie. Dating myself, and then squat down, keeping your head over your shoulders. You could put your hands on your hips and encourage your tailbone, your sacrum to reach down to the floor, not to curl under, but to reach straight down to the floor, like it's a plumb line. And then you can come up to straight legs, put one leg behind you, and do the same thing. So you're squatting, your back heel is lifting, you're keeping that tailbone aiming straight down to the floor, right? And then try the other leg. Very good. And then figure out if that's the leg that feels better, or if you want to switch them and lower yourself all the way down to the floor, or get down to the floor, whichever way is safest for you. If you need to adjust your camera angles, oh, that looks great already. So let's do a half roll down with our magic circle. Make sure your ball's within reach too. So magic circle is going to go on the inner calves once again in the same spot that we had it when we were standing. And we're going to place those feet flat. And we know we can get our feet that same distance apart. Press into the inner and outer borders of your feet. Hold onto your knees. Pull yourself upright. Start to lean back just at the pelvis. So your arms aren't straightening. You're really fighting this movement backwards. Once you're as far back as you can go right now, squeeze the circle a little bit more and pull yourself upright, and then relax the circle. once again, start to lean back, fighting the leaning back with your arms, squeezing the circle, go a little bit further. I want you to keep a slight bend in your elbows. And now you're on your sacrum or somewhere thereabouts. Squeeze the circle a little bit more, find both borders of your feet and sit up tall, relax your circle. Do that a couple more times. And try to adjust your feet, try and get them a little closer. So they should not be wider than your hips. You have to engage that circle, make that work. Look down, make that judgment. It should be roughly your hip width or a little bit narrower. It depends on the tension on your particular circle. See if you can go a little bit lower. How low can you go? And then squeeze the circle again, pulling yourself up. 2 more like that, trying to get the objective to get more of your pelvis down to the mat, collarbones wide. Squeezing the circle. Good. And then good, then lay it all the way down on the mat. Remove the circle for a moment. I'm just going to make sure everyone's muted here. And go ahead and just bring your knees from side to side like windshield wipers. You can stretch your arms out wide to the side, palms facing the ceiling, and feel like your arms are being pulled in opposing directions. Make your shoulder blades heavy, and then see if you can make those ribs, top ribs and mid ribs, heavy as well. The mid ribs sort of start to complain and they like to lift. Now we'll bring our feet together and do the same thing with the feet together, pivoting on one foot, keeping your feet stacked, keeping your knees stacked. And then once again, stretching the arms wide, feeling heavy shoulder blades, start to feel heavier through the ribs. So your movement is really just coming from below your waist. There's a little bit of rib rotation, but you're really trying to reduce it and just get the bottom part of your pelvis moving. Yeah. And then let's do that figure 4 stretch where you cross the ankle over your knee. And we're not, you can actually reach through and grab your leg and pull your legs towards your chest. Flex your top foot, check your back of your neck. So if you have a tendency to really poke your chin up to the ceiling, you may need something under your head. And then switch legs. Weave your hands through, flex the top foot, lengthen the back of your neck, pulling the knees towards you, tailbone down. Yeah, so you pick up that bottom leg. You pick your foot up right off the mat. Yeah, then put your foot back on the mat, stretch your arms out, and let that top foot, or let your legs go side to side once again. Choose which side feels good for you, or just keep alternating between both. With the legs in this position, you get a much bigger rotation. You may be able to even rest on your foot and adjust the shoulders, the ribs, get a big stretch, and then you can repeat with the other leg crossed over, rotating side to side. You may feel this strictly in your glutes, you might feel lower back, you might not feel anything. It depends on a lot of factors. Sometimes we're really mobile and tight into spots that are very close to one another. Our bodies create stability where we have instability. And then come back to the center. Let's roll over to the side. Grab your ball because we'll do some of that arm stuff. So arrange your head so that it's supported. Knees can be stacked. And then you can put your hand on the ball. Push down on it before you start any movement. Really press down. And then push the ball forward. Try to keep the heel of your hand on it. And then when you pull back, pull your ribs back as well. Reach the arms forward. While you're moving the arm, the protraction of the shoulder blade, can you make sure that the hips stay stacked, the ribs stay stacked, maybe glance down there with your eyes, and then keep the shoulder blade protracted. Lift the arm off the ball, lift it straight up to the ceiling. Bring it back down on top of the ball. If the ball hasn't rolled away, you should be able to touch the same part of your hand. I know it's a lot to ask the ball to remain in its spot. But keep the reach from the shoulder blades. And then you can reach back beyond your spine. Let your eyes follow your hand. Keep your knees together, hips stacked, bring the arm forward. So now we're just lifting. And the problem with lifting the arm in this particular movement is that the shoulder, the arm tends to fall back into the shoulder socket. And now we'll take the arm overhead in that semicircle, pausing when the head is right over your ear, finding the rotation, and then reaching back. Keep the knees together and reverse that rotation. And once again, be mindful of the weight of your arm. And then stack your arms straight out in front of you, line up your fingertips, and lift both arms straight up to the ceiling, rolling onto your shoulder blade. So as we're rolling here, we're really trying to keep the knees stacked, not moving the hips. And then we can move over to the other side. That looks good, everyone. So start with your hand on top of the ball. Make sure your neck and head are safe. And we'll protract and retract the shoulder blade, giving a glance down at your knees and hips to make sure that they're staying stacked. And then the next time that the shoulder blade is protracted, keep it there, reach the arm straight up to the ceiling. And if your ball hasn't rolled away, your hand should touch the same spot. Good, that looks really good for everyone. And then you can reach the arm beyond the axial line of your spine. You can follow it with your eyes. And this is when the arm starts to get heavy and we forget that protraction. You almost want to feel like somebody is lifting you by your wrist. And then you can go into that semicircle over your head, pausing when the arm is in line with your ear to rotate in the shoulder socket. Following that hand movement with your eyes. And then finish up the one you're on now. Stack your arms on top of one another in front of you, line up your fingertips and your knees, and bring both arms straight up to the ceiling, rotate on your shoulder blades, and notice how the top knee wants to retract, and you're gonna work on keeping it on top of one another. So this is really relevant to the side leg kicks. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You can see how the movement of one half of your body is affecting the other half when you lay down on your side. Very nice. Lay down on your back and we'll do our leg stretches. If you have a ball, oh good, Mary, you got your ball. Awesome. We'll start with the right leg, just to make things simple. You do whatever leg if that doesn't suit you. Put the ball against your chest, on your thigh or on your knee, and squish the ball with your thigh, bend the other knee, good. And your foot's on the circle and you're pulling your foot over your face. You are not gonna try and straighten your knee. In fact, you're gonna try and squish the ball more, bend your knee more. Go ahead and let your pelvis curl up off the mat and address the surface of your foot. The outer and inner edges of your foot are on the circle. Bend your knee a little bit more, pull your foot over your face a little bit more, let that pelvis lift, try to relax your neck and shoulders. And then you start to push the heel up. You crease the ankle a lot. Don't move your knee. Keep it bent, keep it bent. Keep creasing the ankle more. Then you can set the circle aside on your right side if it's your right leg, because you'll need that in a moment. Start to push your tailbone down and reach up through your heel. The left leg can start to straighten as well. And on that left foot, reach through the inner and outer edges of that foot. Make sure the toes point straight up. You're going to hold the circle with your left hand and start to pull the leg towards the left. I don't care if the knee's not straight. In fact, it's a little, I'm going to ask everyone to bend their right knee, push up a little bit harder with the heel. So we're not straightening the knee yet. We're just flexing at the ankle now. Push up through the heel and push simultaneously down through that right side. Use your right hand in whatever way helps you square your hip, either on the front of your thigh or under your hip or both. Alternating. And then you can put the ball under your upper arm, switching the circle to your right arm, right hand, bring the leg out to the right. Good. Once the leg is at the right side, at your lowest point, make sure that your left side of your body is anchored. Reach through the arches of both feet, flex both feet deeply. Take another inhale, exhale, expand your ribs into the mat. Bring the leg straight up, pull it with the left leg, with the left hand, and pull so far that your right hip comes right off the mat. Just make sure that your left foot isn't rotating as well. Then you know what to do is to bring that hip back down onto your hand, onto the mat, squaring it, flexing your foot, enjoying all of that awfulness. Keep the leg pulled across again, lift the hip up, bend the knee, and now push a little bit harder with your heel and harder with that right hip down to the mat. Maybe straightening your knee as you go. We're just sort of bending the knee and pushing through the heel and down through the hip. And then support your arm with the ball. Transfer the circle to your right hand. Transfer the leg out to the side. Flex the foot. Reach through the arches of both feet. Pull the ribs down. Square off your shoulders. So on your right side, between your hip and your rib cage, can you try to make that waist a little bit longer? It means squaring off your hips. It's a different thing that I haven't really mentioned before, but it's the same as all of the other. Let's switch back to the left leg. Switch to the left leg. Putting the ball between your knee and your chest. Good, and then you know what to do is to pull that leg in, flex the foot. Go ahead and let the pelvis lift. Bring the foot over your face a little bit more. Flex at the ankle a little bit more. Squish your ball a little bit more. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Yeah, the other knee should be bent. That's right. You're going to take one more deep breath, and you're going to hold the circle with either your right hand or both. Set the ball aside. Start to push up hard with the heel, down with the sit bone. Straighten the right leg. Flex the right foot. Yes, take a moment to let that settle in. So the right side of your body, where the pocket would be, your jean pocket in the front of your right leg, try and stretch that out. Holding the circle with your right hand, you can pull the leg slightly to the right. Bend the knee a little bit, push up through the heel, and then push the hip down. Don't lift the hip on this one. Keep the hip down, use your left hand in whatever way suits you best. To square off, to get the hip down. Take one more breath here, and then support that left arm with your ball. Bring the leg to the left. Reach through the arches of both feet. Ribs down, shoulders wide. So the left side of your waist, this is what I'm asking you to do, is to think about putting some space there, making both sides of your waist equal. And then bring the leg back to the ceiling. Pull it all the way to the right so that the left hip comes off. Just watch that right foot that it hasn't rotated out. Reaching through. So now your objective is to pull the hip back to the mat while still pulling it to the right. Reaching through the arch of your feet. Now bend the knee. Keep the hip lifted. Now push through the heel and try and get your hip down. Try and reach through the heel a little bit more. Through that effort, your knee might straighten a little bit. It just hits a little bit different when you're doing that slight knee bend. And you can do that several times if you feel that that helps you get your stretch a little better. And then you can transfer the circle to the left arm and go for the inner thigh stretch. Flexing through both feet and reaching through the arches, finding the side of the left waist. And rather than crowding it by pulling the leg towards your left ear, which you can, you still have to think about squaring your hips. So it's that idea of squeezing your inner thighs, even though they're nowhere near each other. Then you can bring your leg up to the ceiling. We'll do our fake teaser here. Both hands are on the circle. If it's easy for you to shimmy yourself to a spot where your right foot can push against a wall or something really solid, it's a very good thing to help you stabilize yourself. So I'll give you a moment to do that if it's easy for you. Okay, so once you're there, push that bottom foot, the right foot against the wall. Left foot is in the circle. Both sides of your feet are firm into it. Start to push the leg away so you feel a little tension, but before you create too much tension in your neck, I want you to move your hairline off your shoulders. Slide the piece of paper away. Then bend your elbows to lift your shoulders in one movement. Elbows are bent, hold it there. Everything from your base of your shoulder blades down to your right heel is down flat on the mat. And then move the leg a little bit further away till your arms are straight. Then bend the elbows and lift another pair of ribs. The bottom foot, that right foot, is pushing into the wall. You bend the elbows and you straighten the arms, lowering the leg little by little till you can come up to a seated position. Now, having your foot against the wall is going to limit, it's going to feel different for those of you that are doing that. And you can use the strap, Mary and Jasmine. Yep, so once you're up there, pause. You might have to bend your elbows if you're using your foot against the wall. Foot is parallel to your eyes. And start to lower yourself back to the mat. Don't move your leg. Really keep your leg still. Don't move it, don't move it, don't move it, don't move it. Then your arms are fully extended and then the circle is almost distorted. And then you see if you can push your back ribs into the mat. Then you start to slowly lift that leg. Keep the bottom foot reaching for the wall. And then settle your head and shoulders down and we'll switch sides. If you're using the wall, get that left foot to reach hard into the wall. Move the right leg away, find that little bit of tension, and then bend the elbows to just lift your shoulder blades. Pause there. Everything else from the heel of your left foot to the bottom of your shoulder blades is firm on the mat. Then you move the right leg to straighten your arms. Then you bend the elbows and you straighten the arms and you bend the elbows and you straighten. And you keep pushing the bottom foot into the wall. If you don't have a wall there, just imagine one. Really push into it. And then once your foot is parallel to your face, relax your neck, take the tension out of your shoulders. And then keep pushing the bottom foot into the wall as you start to straighten your arms. Think about returning as a pair of ribs. So first you return your pelvis, and then you get your lower back. And then the first set of ribs, and then the next set, there's going to be a part where your own body accelerates, and that's just where you're tight. And then you can bring your foot out of that circle. Bend both knees, put the circle on your chest, stack your hands on top of one another, lengthen the back of your neck. So once again, just lift your shoulder blades and put them down. Move the sheet of paper with the back of your head first, if you forget that, and just lift the shoulder blades and put them down. So as you're lifting your shoulder blades, the circle rolls forward, but not because your hands are moving it, but because your shoulders are lifting, yes? Your knees can be bent, feet are together. Good. And press into the inner and outer borders of your feet now. Don't move them, but imagine pulling them towards your tailbone. And your tailbone is like that plumb line. It's a straight line reaching for your heels, not curling to the ceiling. Continue to lift and lower your shoulder blades without lifting your tailbone, without adjusting that plumb line. Do that a couple of times. Just find the ease in your neck, switching your hand placement once in a while. And then maybe on this next one, we're gonna stay up, right? Your hairline is off your shoulders, you're pulling your heels isometrically to your tailbone, tailbone to your heels, push your ribs down, from your shoulder blades to your tailbone, from the tip of your shoulder blades to your tailbone, is pressing into the mat, breathe. Inhale and exhale, the circle doesn't move, you just inhale into the mat, exhale into the mat. Keep your head up if you can. Keep your shoulders away from your knees, from your ears and your knees. And one more breath here, and then rest down. Place the circle against the front of your legs, your knees, whatever. Place your hands on the other paddle. Point your elbows out slightly. Push that sheet of paper with the back of your head, slide it away. And then you'll just lift your shoulder blades. Your elbows were bent, and then you'll put your shoulder blades down. Your heels are pulling to your bum to your heels, your tailbone down, your legs resist the circle. Try that a couple of times. Try to take the tension out of your neck. Stay up on the next one. The elbows bend out wide as the circle distorts. You keep the tailbone down, you pull your heels to bump up to your heels, ribs down. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now just lift your feet. Don't draw your knees closer to you. Good, keep pressing into the circle. Your feet are off the mat. It should be tough. Yes, we're gonna stay there. Stay there, set the circle aside, or hold the circle with one hand, reach with the other arm, and switch. Take the tension out of your neck. Keep switching hands. And when each arm has had 2 turns, set the circle aside, start pumping the arms. Move the sheet of paper away with the back of your head as if you were on the floor. Don't think about lifting your head. Think about separating your shoulder blades and planting that space between the shoulder blades, just below the ribs. Keep the idea of the tension of the legs pushing into the circle and your arms reaching. That's a much better neck position for everyone that should feel better. Good. I'm gonna say this is our last breath cycle. And then pull your knees into your chest and rock on your back. Take a little breather there. Grab behind your legs, pull yourself up to sitting. Grab your ball and we'll put it at your lower back. So lean back and balance, picking up your feet. So if your ball's too close before you pick up your feet, you'll have to move it. Okay, so think of that sheet of paper. Imagine you're laying on the floor and you're gonna slide that sheet of paper up the wall behind you. Pull the shoulders down. Take the tension out of your neck. Turn your neck around a little bit. Now pull the ribs back. Think of your tailbone. Think about putting more weight on the sacrum and getting off your tailbone. Now reach back into the ball. Push back into the ball. Good. Don't think about going forward. Think about lifting that space between your shoulder blades up the wall, up to the corner of the wall behind you. And you'll rock forward, toes don't touch the floor. Try and pause or stop yourself before that happens. If you're not holding your shins, try holding them now. In this position, you should be able to. Good, shoulders down, a little bit more, Jasmine. Good, 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 good. That's good for everybody, yes. Okay, now see if you can move the ball even just half an inch. This is that really tricky spot. So rock into the ball, use your arms, think about the space between your shoulder blades sliding up the wall. Keep pushing into the ball even as you're going forward. That's nice. Do we dare move the ball back another half an inch? Sure, go for it. And I mean just like even a quarter inch, just a centimeter even. Pushing into the ball even as you're going forward. It's gonna feel really good when you remove that ball now. Think about all the effort pushing into the ball as you roll, push into the ball as you roll up. Even if you don't roll all the way up to a sitting position. Shoulders away from your ears. Yeah, 1 or 2 more. No ball, yeah. Full roll. Very nice. Balance on the next one. Grab your right ankle, left hand above the ankle, above that hand. Stretch the left leg out and lower yourself down to the mat with control. Rest your head for a moment. Move the sheet of paper away. Keep your head down. So that should bring your chin a little bit towards your chest, right? Left leg is reaching. Tailbone is down. Lift your head, lift your shoulder blades. Push your ribs down, push the tailbone down, switch legs. Push the ribs down, push the tailbone down, and switch, and switch, and switch. Ribs down, Keep moving that sheet of paper with the back of your neck away. Think about that space between your shoulder blades trying to slide up the wall rather than you lifting your head or lifting your shoulders. Think about the space between your shoulder blades. And last right and last left, and bend both knees and rest your head. Place the magic circle between your calves. Bend your knees, hands on top of your shins or your knees. Pull the knees into your chest, curl the tailbone up, lengthen the back of your neck. Now get that tailbone all the way back down. And curl it up and back down. Curl it up and hold and exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. Inhale, tailbone down. One more time. Exhale as you curl the tailbone up. Inhale as you put the tailbone down. Now lift your head and shoulders. Keep your feet at knee height and straighten your legs. Push them out at the same height as your knees you made. And then exhale, pull them back in. Head and shoulders are up. Hands are on your legs. As the legs go out. Good. On the next one, if you like, as your legs extend, your arms can reach up to the shoulder, to the ceiling. Up over your chest. Reach more. Circle the arms out to a T and then sweep them around to the top of your legs. As you exhale, the legs are into your chest. Reach the arms so much that it lifts your shoulder blades off the mat. Right, just try not to go back over your ears or beside your ears with your arms. Just reach right up over your ribs. Yeah, even less back over your ears, Karen, more over your ribs. Last one, and then rest your head and shoulders. Bring your legs up to the ceiling, grab behind your legs, circle your feet, and try to circle from your ankles so you can see your knees and you can see if your knees are moving. Okay, great. Holding behind your knees, curl the tailbone up and then put it down. And keep it down. Bend your elbows to lift your shoulder blades, adjusting your neck as you go. Tailbone is really down, ribs are down, hairline and shoulder blades are apart, yes. And then go ahead, hold the right leg with both hands, lower the left leg. And then switch. Reach from the inner border of each foot consistently. Keep trying to get that tailbone down and all the bones from your tailbone to the tips of your shoulder blades. One more right, one more left. Rest your head and shoulders. Let's put the magic circle back between your calves. Hands underneath your head. Interlace the fingers, point your elbows straight up to the ceiling. So you're making a pretty narrow space between your elbows. Squeeze the circle, legs up to the ceiling. So bend the knees a little bit, push the tailbone down, push the arches of your feet up to the ceiling. Good, so it doesn't mean your knees are necessarily straight. Lift the shoulder blades, keep the elbows narrow. Get the tailbone down and lower the legs. 1, 2, 3, hold. Squeeze the circle and lift the legs straight up again. Release the circle, lower. 1, 2, 3, hold. Squeeze the circle and lift the legs straight up. Tailbone stays down. So you relax the circle as you're lowering the legs and you squeeze it like heck as you lift those legs up. And then we'll reverse that. Start by squeezing the circle, lowering the legs, releasing the circle and lifting. Squeeze the circle as you lower. Try and get that weaker leg of yours to do more work. Probably keep the elbows narrow and lifted like the shoulder blades are lifting. Let's do one more just for good measure. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as you lower and release as you lift. Nice, relax. Set the circle aside. We're going to place that circle against the inside of the right knee and place the left elbow on the circle. Interlace your fingers the weird way behind your head, the way that's less familiar. Tailbone is down, right knee is up, left foot is down. Now curl your shoulder blades up, extend that left leg, and just try and squeeze the circle for 3, 2, 1. Relax, but don't release. Squeeze again, 3. This time, point that right elbow back and look at it. And then relax, but don't release. You have one more. And squeeze, 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 and relax and switch. Release and switch. Hands behind your head. Extend the right leg. Squeeze the circle and hold for 3, 2, 1. Relax, don't release. This time when you squeeze, you point that left elbow back. You try and lift the left shoulder blade and relax. One more time. Lift the shoulder blade, point the elbow back, squeeze the circle, and relax. Nicely done. Grab behind your legs and pull yourself up to a seated position for spine stretch forward. So bring your feet to the width of your mat. Flex your feet, reach through the arches of your feet. So just look at the feet. They should really resemble the same position when you're standing. So the arches and the outside of your feet, toes are pointing straight up. There's no outward rotation. Let's put the magic circle with straight arms. Just put it down in front of you, where you think your straight back is. There you go. So just like when we were laying down, let your shoulder blades come forward, but nothing else. Push down on the circle and then release, sit up. We're not rolling the circle forward. I just want you to push down and let just the shoulder blades come forward. And up. Twice more like that. Think about lifting your ribs off your hips. Next time the shoulder blades come forward, hold it there. Now start to reach the circle forward. Keep the tailbone down. Lift your ribs off your hips. Hold it when you feel like you're at your max. Push the hamstrings down, check your feet, and then stack up by lifting your ribs off your thighs. Keep reversing your hand placement. Start by just the shoulder blades reaching forward, lifting your ribs off your waist. Very nice. That's the idea. I don't even have to talk to you about your head placement. Try one more like that. Check your feet, press your hamstrings down, lift your ribs off of your legs. Very nice. How are we for time? Let's roll over onto our stomach and we'll do our thigh stretch. Bring your ball between your inner thighs. Bend your knees and place the magic circle over your feet. So as you're pulling on the circle, you're bending your elbows, you're squeezing the ball, and you need to press the front of your hips, your pubic bone down. And that position, if you can think about when we were standing, I had you put your hands on your hips today and sort of reach your tailbone towards the floor. Your tailbone is now reaching between your heels in a sort of a straight line. Once you have all the tension that you can manage on the circle, you're squeezing the ball, keep the elbows bent, the tops of the shoulders are turned down. Then you can start to reach your feet up and relax. Look for symmetry in your body. So do a couple more of these. I'm gonna just have a look at everyone there. Look for symmetry on the left and right sides of your thighs. The skin on the front of the thighs should feel like they're both stretching your muscles. The sides of your waist are equally lengthening. Sometimes there's an imbalance and you will easily not notice it. But if you can think about the left and right sides of your waist equally lengthening, squeezing the ball, there's one side that's a little preferential and you don't necessarily notice it, and then you can relax. Sit back into a child's pose, recovery. You can keep the ball between your knees. As you sit back on your heels, you can push into your hands, try and stretch the mat away from you and lift the ribs up to the ceiling. And then we're gonna come back down onto our stomach for our neck roll. So hold onto your ball, lay down on your stomach, place your circle upright. And this in itself is a stretch for many of you. Place your hands on the top, just getting into this is a stretch. Place your hands on the top handle, side by side. Right, stretch the legs out long, find the pubic bone and hip bones on both legs. Start to lift your head so your ears are between your arms. There's no tension on the circle, you're just barely putting weight on it. And then you pull the ribs or the shoulder blade down towards your ribs. You can lift your head above the edge of your arms and push down on the circle. Think of getting longer, squeezing the ball between your legs a little more, and then lower yourself back down. Think about the tailbone reaching to your heels as you are in your final position, pulling your ribs off the mat. No pressure on your belly's not pushing into the mat. In fact, you're trying to lift it. And then you can add the neck roll. Circling that head from side to side, keeping the tension on the circle even, engaging the abdominals every time the chin comes between the arms. And then you can bend your elbows and support yourself on your forearms and hold the circle between your hands. Find your pubic bone, hip bones, pushing the circle, squeezing it between your hands. Try and drag your rib cage forward between your arms. Elbows should be just under your shoulders. Put your elbows forward a little bit more, Mary. And no, everyone else looks good. Okay, then it's straight. You've got the ball. It's between your inner thighs. You're gonna bend the right knee and kick 1, 2. Switch, kick 1, 2. Squeeze the ball as you're kicking. Drag your chest forward. Push the forearms down and squeeze your hands together. Keep the pubic bone and hip bones down. Nice. Back of your neck is long. The space between your shoulder blades is open. Last right, last left. And then go ahead and put one side of your face down on the mat. Bring the circle behind your back. We still have the ball between our legs. Hold the circle with your hands as close together as you can. So don't use the handles. Don't use the handles. Hold the circle with your hands. There you go. Now bend the elbows, shoulder tips down. Bend your knees. Squeeze the ball and kick your heels. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Push the circle against your ankles or your heels. Push. Now straighten your arms, straighten your legs at the same time. Turn your head the other way. Bend your elbows. Kick 1, 2, 3. And then push the circle into the back of your ankles to straighten your arms and legs. When you are kicking your heels, your arms are bent, so you don't feel the circle with your ankles. You push as you straighten your arms and legs. You keep, as you're holding the circle, you're trying to pull your hands apart. You're squeezing the ball. We have one last set. And then push yourself into a seated position. Take another recovery pose. Push into your hands, tailbone down between your heels, round your back. Nice. And then come up to kneeling. Let's place the ball between your inner thighs. Thigh stretch. Good. I like that we've been using the circle the last little while, wedging it behind your legs, between your ankles and your legs. Good. So once you're there, walk your knees a little bit more together, squeeze the ball a little bit more. Imagine lifting the ball only using your inner thighs. So I need you to activate the inner thighs that much. Put your hands on your hips for a moment and just encourage your lower back to lengthen towards the floor, towards the space between your calves, yes? And then try and take the weight off the circle. Push your hips forward. Yes, keep doing that. Keep doing that with your hips. Pull your ribs in. Yeah, now reach your arms forward. And as you go back, keep that idea of your lengthening in your lower back, stretching the front of your hips, squeezing the ball, and then coming forward nice and easy. Come forward so much, you can put your hands on your hips again, that you take the weight off the circle. You lengthen your tailbone down between your heels, you pull your ribs back, and you try and lift your waistband without using your hands. Squeeze the ball, come forward again. You have 3 more of those. Push the kneecaps in. Don't sit on the circle. Try and keep the weight off of it as you lean back. Keep your shoulders just in front of your hips. And as you lean back, look down at your ball. Stretch out the front of, even if you can't see your ball, stretch out the front pockets. We're gonna do one more because we're just so close there. When you lean back on this one, I'm gonna be holding your wrists. I'm in the room there with you. And I'm holding you by the wrist. I'm pulling your arms forward. Try and get away from me. Lift your waistband, squeeze the ball, push your kneecaps in, and then come all the way up. Come up to us or sit down again. We'll do our saw. So bring your feet to the width of your mat. Flex, and they can be actually wider for saw. It might be nicer for you to have a wider stance. Find the both borders of your feet, place the circle over your right foot, holding it with both hands. If you have a wall, it's great to put your feet against the wall. Bring your right hand behind you, fingertips, wrist, fist, whatever. Just rotate, 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 rotate. Think about lifting your hairline off your shoulders, and now pull the left hip back a little bit more. Sit heavily on both hips, on both hamstrings. Relax, but don't release. Do that again. Pull your shoulders forward over your hips just a little bit. Don't move your head, keep your head upright. Keep your head upright, don't go forward, just stay upright. Okay, one more, relax. This one, as you think about bringing your shoulder blades forward, not your head, shoulder blades come forward. Your head will come because of your shoulder blades. The backhand might, depending on your proportions, it starts to get light. Push it away, start looking down at your knee, and think about the back arm lifting so that you can bring your shoulder blades, the front of your shoulder blades, the front of your shoulders down towards your knee. Press the left hip back, sit a little heavier on the left leg, and then sit up tall. Once more like that. Start to bring the shoulder blades forward, so you're bending at the shoulder blades. The back arm starts to lift, and rather than thinking of shifting your hips forward, lift the arm and actually think of lifting your rib cage off your hips. Sit a little heavier on the left leg and check both feet. Sit up tall, switch legs. So first, we're just gonna place that left hand behind you, and we're just rotating. So this is a little better for some of you. And just rotate and then relax. And when you're in your rotated position, hold this one, put weight on that right hip, flex both feet, check the position of your feet. Relax, and we're doing it once more now with the movement of the left arm. So start to bring the shoulder bending at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. And then that left arm gets loose of the floor. You lift it, bend more right at that shoulder blade spot. Sit heavily on the right hip, the right leg, flex both feet, get the tension out of your neck, sit up tall, one more like that. So think of bending right at the bottom of the shoulder blades, we're bending forward. The back arm, that right arm that's holding the circle now helps to pull you forward, but you keep pushing your pelvis into a wall and your feet into a wall, sitting heavy on the right side, lifting the left arm, taking tension out of your neck. Anything else? I think that's all of that stuff. All right, I feel like I've forgotten something. No comments. Where are we here? I know we're not done yet, but I feel like that we're out of our normal routine. Yes, I've totally forgotten something, haven't I? Let's do our mermaid. Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna do, what we can, want to do open leg rocker. Okay, don't beat up Jasmine at recess. Squeeze the magic circle between your calves, bend your knees, place your feet down, and let's have your feet wider than your knees. Then turn the heels in so they're a little bit narrower than your knees. Start to lean back and lean onto, it's gonna be a little bit different for everybody. Try and find your sacrum. That triangle of your pelvis is now a horizontal facing the ceiling. Work on that. Pull your ribs back. Keep your neck relaxed. Pick up your feet. See if you can straighten your legs. Keep the heels and the toes out. Keep the triangle of your pelvis facing the ceiling. Keep pulling your ribs back. Beautiful, just balance. Feet should not be much higher than your face. Just balance. Balance, breathe. Try and balance here. And try a little roll back. If your ball is nearby, let's stick it right behind your back. Reach around, yep, just find your ball. Reposition yourself. Push into your ball. Push the ribs back. Rock forward an inch. Rock into your ball. Keep pushing into your ball as you rock forward. Keep pulling those ribs back. Yes, very nice, everyone. Just look forward between your circle. And if you feel ready, you'll remove the ball. You'll roll all the way back, and you'll think about that sensation of pushing into your ball to roll up. Oh, very nice. Excellent. Last one. Come all the way up to a seated position. So basically, that's the fundamentals for teaser. Bring your legs together, set your circle aside, hold underneath your knees. So lean back, find that same position, and start to pick up your feet. You can do one leg at a time. You can do both. You can alternate, but then find your balance. Legs are together, feet are about eye height. Get that pelvis, your triangle of your pelvis, to face the ceiling horizontally. Pull the ribs back. Right, see if you can walk your hands down the back of your legs an inch or two. Keep going, bend your knees as you go until your whole upper back is on the mat. Bend your knees. Grab your magic circle, we'll put it over your knees. I know what we forgot, it was corkscrew. Feet together, knees apart, so you're making a diamond shape between your legs. Lift your feet up as high as the circle will allow you. Stretch your arms out wide. Push your feet, actually push your feet together. Don't just have them touching. Push them together and push your knees apart. Now push the knees apart so much and let the knees rock to the right, eyes go to the left. Let the knees rock to the left, eyes go to the right. Keep pushing your feet together and knees apart as you rock side to side and turning your head in the opposite direction. The circle is around your knees, heels together. Okay, and then come back to center. Relax for a moment, bring your arms down alongside your body, press into your hands, press into the back of your upper arms. So if you need to go wider with your hands, that's an option. Squeeze the heels together, push the knees apart, lengthen the back of your neck. Both knees go to the right. And then you sweep the knees away from your chest. It's like your toes want to touch the floor. And then you sweep to the left and we come back to center. So that's the motion. You go left. You sweep around over to the right. You try and keep both of your shoulders, backs of your arms, and upper ribs on the mat, and just move the pelvis. You might have to make your circles a little smaller to keep the back of your arms on the mat. We'll do one more right, and finish when you go left to right. Squeeze the heels together, push the knees apart, and set the circle aside. Pull yourself up to a seated position. Put the circle between your calves again and bring your feet all the way together so you're making a big diamond shape. We're going to get into our seal from here. Squeeze the feet together, let the knees fall open as far as they need to, and then hold underneath your knees. This is in the proper seal position. Squeeze your heels together, lean back until you can bring that pelvis, the triangle, horizontal to the ceiling. Pull your shoulders down. Go ahead and rock back. Push into your ribs to rock up. It's a small little rock. Yes, keep the feet together though. Keep the feet together. They're your feet. You should be able to keep them together. Surprising how hard that is. And then stay up on this one. Remove the circle and get into your seal position. So now it's really easy to get your feet together. No excuse. Think of the magic circle still being there. Think of pushing into the imaginary ball and pushing into the ball to roll up. We'll do 3 more of these, exhaling into that ball. And on the next one, when you're done, cross those ankles, push your hands into the mat, push the weight onto your feet, look down to your feet. Roll up to a standing position. Turn around so you have the full length of your mat in front of you. Reach your arms up to the ceiling. Keep your head between your arms and dive your fingertips into the middle of the mat, way out to the middle of the mat. Bend your knees if you need to. Good, bend your knees a little bit more. Get the heels of your hands down. Shift the weight, your weight over your hands a little bit more. So you're equal on your heels and the heels of your hands. Relax your head. Pull your ribs up to the ceiling. Push into the floor a little bit more with your heels and your hands. And start to walk your hands forward. Stretch that one arm out as far as you can. Then stretch the other arm out. Once more, till your hands are side by side. Shift the weight forward between your arms. Drop your hips. Very nice. Push into your hands a lot. Bend your elbows just a little bit. Now push into your hands even more to straighten your arms. Bend your elbows a little bit. Push yourself. These are our Pilates push-ups. Pilates push-ups. Yes, and then bring your head between your arms. Make the weight equal between your heels of your feet and heels of your hands. Walk one hand back to the center of the mat. Push into the heels of your feet a little bit more. Bring the other hand a little closer to your feet. And then move your hands, both of them, as close to your feet as you can. Grab your forearms, one hand on the crease of each elbow. Drop your head, soften your knees. And now actually curl your tailbone forward between your legs. Start to straighten your legs. Come all the way up to a standing position. Stay in your Pilates stance. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Come up on your toes. Squeeze your heels together. Bend your knees. Lower your heels. Squeeze your legs together. Rise up onto your toes. Bend your knees. Lower your heels. Squeeze your legs. Now reverse. Feet are flat. Bend your knees. Lift just your heels. Squeeze your legs straight together. Once more. Lower the heels. Bend the knees. Lift just the heels. And then straighten your legs. Stay up here. Stay up on your toes. Push your head up into the ceiling. Roll your shoulders up to your ears, back and down. Keep your head pushing the ceiling up. Lower your heels. Shake out your arms. And you're done. Stop recording.